Yo, 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 what's up? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, how's it going? Riley, Raphael, what's up? Yes, sir. It is the graveyard crew. I can't even talk straight because it's so late. What's up? Senior Hyphy says he's tuned in at work. Let's go. Isaac Pajas, what's going on? What's up, man? We are coming at you late night. I felt like let's go live and talk. And we didn't get to talk about all this stuff today. Earlier on the live show, we were kind of previewing, week one. We talked about Justin Fields, and we talked a lot about it. But there was so much stuff going on today, in the media that I didn't really get to today, and I want to get to that. So Albert Breer, yeah, he was stirring the pot this morning on Sports Illustrated, and Bleacher Report was posting it, and it was how those Monday morning articles do. They try to stir the pot. We're going to talk about that, and then Peter King had a little bit of a prediction he had about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. So we're going to talk about it. Hit that like button. Say what's up to everybody in the comments. Let's get to it. It's a late night show, but late night better than nothing at all. So appreciate you joining me here on the Graveyard Crew. How is everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody had a good Labor Day, today. So some people were working, some people weren't working. Whatever you were doing, I hope you had a good, safe day today. So let's get to it. Let me pull up this little number here. So Trey Lance, from what Albert Breer said this morning, he was annoyed in the aftermath of Jimmy Garoppolo's return. So this was like the big news this morning, right? And Trey Lance was annoyed that Jimmy G, yeah, had got extended. And last week they told us Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they met with the media and they said, there's no ill will, there's no hard feelings. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance are buddies, and they thought it was a good idea. They talked to them beforehand, and all of a sudden this morning, on the Monday Morning Quarterback article, on Sports Illustrated, Albert Breer drops this, and everybody's freaking out. You know how it goes. It seemed like it was just this fake news report. That's what it was. It was like a couple sentences of him saying, "Yeah, I believe that Trey was upset," and then he kind of came back later on 957 the game, and they talked about it. So we'll kind of get into that. So this is what he said today after the fact. So again, this morning he says that Trey Lance was a little annoyed in the immediate aftermath of Jimmy Garoppolo restructuring his contract to remain with the team, right? And then he kind of clarified it because he saw that it was getting some, attention on social media. Obviously, you're going to say something like that, it's going to blow up because everybody's like, "What? What do you mean Trey Lance was annoyed?" And then you got the people that believe the clickbait articles that say, "Oh my God, see he's immature. Oh my God, Jimmy's got to start. Jimmy's got to start." And this is what he said. So later on the day, he kind of clarified it when he went on the radio. He says, "And while I heard Lance was a little annoyed in the immediate aftermath, he's a smart, mature kid who I believe can handle it." This is what Breer said, right, on NBC Sports. Truth is, if he couldn't, you might have bigger questions about where the Niners are at this position. So he's kind of backpedaling. And then he says the portion of Breer's column has been edited since in the initial release. So he edited his column, right? And he says with that part about Lance being a little annoyed removed. He removed it. The Sports Illustrated reporter, he joined 957 the game, like we talked about, right? Because he wanted to clarify what he meant by that initial wording. So he now says, if you go back to the article, he changed it and he says that the news was a little complicated for Lance to take at first. So boom, right there, he went back and he backtracked his whole article, his whole freaking article that he wrote. Monday Morning Quarterback's a big article, and he went back and he backtracked it. So you sat there and you just says, "Oh, he was a little annoyed," and then you go and change your wording because you're like, "Oh, maybe I didn't word it right," because you knew that social media was about to rip you a new one. Because last week, Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan, and John Lynch, all of them, literally all of them, said that there was no problem. There was no problem. Not even a single problem. And they are stirring the pot. So then he changes it. He changed it. And he says he saw that his initial wording started to generate some chatter on social media. So then this is what he says on 957 the game. He goes, "I think it's important to make sure, let people know what I meant when I wrote that." What do you mean you got to tell people what you meant? The words are the words that you put on the paper. We know what the hell you meant, right? So I'm reading this, and this is what he says. And I listened to it too. I was listening to it, so I had to come on. Is I was just like, this guy's just throwing stuff on the paper. He's saying stuff to say it. He goes, So he was talking to Larry Krueger and Lorenzo Neal on 957 the game. He goes, I think from what I understand, I think. So now he's saying, I think. I think earlier you said, oh, well, this is what Trey Lance says. So now he says, I think. From what I understand. So it's just speculation. He's speculating. I think from what I understand, Trey Lance's reaction was pretty natural. Obviously, if he was like slighted in any way, like irritated, that's a natural reaction. I think most Niner fans were a little irritated. Like, you remember everybody's initial reaction was like, what the hell? Right? So he says, I think from what I understand, Trey Lance's reaction was pretty natural. I think it's complicated news for him to take. One of the reasons I use the word immediate aftermath is because I think in the immediate aftermath, you're probably processing a lot of things when the idea comes up. But they talked with them. They Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch told us that they already discussed this. So how's it complicated if they already discussed it? Maybe when he initially heard it, he was probably like, okay, what does this mean for me? Am I still the quarterback? And they assured him he's the quarterback one. So this was just such a stupid clickbait article by Albert Breer. And I respect Albert Breer. He's a great, person in the media. He's usually a good reporter, but I feel like this was just poorly done. I just didn't really respect it, And then he clarified it further. He says, I think what was most important about it is, and this is my feeling on it. So now he's just interpreting his feelings on it. What was most important about it was the Niners were upfront with their guys about it. After discussing it with Jimmy, the idea of it, the concept of it, and making it clear to Jimmy, if we do this, Trey's going to be our starter. Literally what I just said. And then he says, Trey's going to be our starter, and then discussing it with Trey, and then going to the leadership council and informing them of what they're going to do. They felt comfortable moving forward with it. So that's exactly what they told us. Like Trey Lance, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Jimmy Garoppolo literally told us this last week. So again, he's trying to speculate and make a story out of nothing. It's a nothing burger. To me, it was. Like, when I saw that this morning, I was kind of like, are you kidding me? How are you just sitting here and stirring this pot? Because he had to go back and clarify it. That's when you know he's just clickbaiting the world. So I was a little irritated by that. I don't know what you guys think. Those are my thoughts on it. It was crazy because, again, he goes and he first says, the first part of the article, he goes, oh, Trey Lance was a little annoyed in the immediate aftermath. Then he had to clarify it, and he says, oh, he was confused. He's just speculating on stuff. I don't think there's an issue. They sat down, they talked to these guys, they have to explain to him. So obviously, if Trey Lance is chosen as, quarterback one, and then all of a sudden you bring Jimmy and you restructure his deal, of course you're going to explain that to Trey Lance. Of course you're going to explain to Jimmy that this is Trey's team. This is Trey's team. So it's fun, man. It's just funny when you see the media and their reactions. I feel like people are just always trying to guess what the Niners are doing, right? The Niners don't leak news. They don't leak it. They don't let things out. People always guess. They always try to guess what the Niners are going to do. And then they make these reports and they make these rumors. Like, literally, how many reports were leaked when Jimmy Garoppolo was on the trading block? And every single week it was the Browns. Oh, the Seahawks are going to get him. Oh, now they're going to go trade him to XYZ team. You just insert any team name and the media would be like, oh, yeah, that's where he's going to go. Jimmy's not going to do this and Jimmy's going to do that. Or Trey doesn't, process the team film right, or he's not ready. He's got arm fatigue. So it's every week they come up with something and they don't stop, and it's not going to stop. It's absolutely madness to me. But I had to bring it up because it was just, I don't know. I saw that. And when I saw it, I was like, what do you mean? Because when I first saw the article, it was like Bleacher Report, and it was literally 2 sentences. And everybody was sending it to me. I was like, oh, come on. Like, this is the most clickbait thing I could hear. And then he goes on the radio, and he has to, clarify what he meant. If you have to clarify what you meant, then you really were just making stuff up. You were big capping hardcore. So it was funny. Let me pull up the other one real quick. What's up, media? What's up, everybody? This is the other article. So Peter King, another big-time reporter, Peter King, this man predicted that Trey Sermon would be like the top running back on the team, by the way. Peter King predicts that 49ers replace Trey Lance with Jimmy Garoppolo by week 7. Read it. Read that. It says Peter King predicts the 49ers will replace Trey Lance with Jimmy Garoppolo by week 7. So he sat there, and he's predicting by midseason they're going to pull Jimmy Garoppolo in as the starter. They're going to pull Trey Lance out, and they're going to put Jimmy Garoppolo as a starter. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's true? Do you think that Kyle's going to let Jimmy take over. He kept him on the roster. This is Trey's team. This is Trey's team. This is crazy. What do you guys think? And we'll get into it. Sad Niner fan says the media doesn't care about credibility anymore. They just want clicks and interactions. Yeah, I think you're right, sad Niner fan. Like, it's 100% what the media wants. They want interaction. They want views. They want engagement. And I think there was a video that I think Niner by Nature actually posted today on Twitter. And he basically, it was a video back when John Lynch was talking to Chris Sims, I believe on the Richard Sherman podcast. And he talked about how reporters have no credibility anymore. He literally said that. He goes, they just try to get the scoop first before anybody else, but there's no integrity in journalism anymore. And he basically says everybody was trying to figure out what we want. And this was when they were discussing like the draft aftermath, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance. And he told them, he says, hey, look, everybody was trying to figure out what we were doing. Everybody was trying to guess. They all thought it was Mac Jones. And then he says, why didn't we tell anybody? Why should we tell anybody? They're going to sit there and guess. We know what we're doing. And he says, we love Trey from the beginning. But the media was going to institute and put their guesses and their speculation. And he goes, nobody really knew what was going on in that situation. But the media thought they did, and everybody was guessing, and everybody says, it's Mac Jones, it's Mac Jones, it's Mac Jones, because probably heard one person discussing him. I'm sure they discussed all quarterbacks, last year. So the media goes with it, and they hear the name, and they're, that's it. I heard it. We're going to roll with it. But they don't hear every little interaction that the front office does. They don't leak anything. So it's funny to hear that, and that's a perfect comment because the media loves to sit there and twist and guess and speculate. That's what the media does. They put words in your mouth. It's crazy. So, sad Niner fan says, if Shanahan kept Jimmy in after he played like a trash can weeks 2 to 6 last season, he shouldn't bench Trey after a bad game. I don't think they will. I don't think they're going. I know the media thinks they will. If Trey struggles, and we talked about this earlier, if they go 1-3 or 1-4 out the gates, I don't think they will. I obviously don't think they will. But if they struggle, they kind of hit themselves on the nose and they, fall flat on their face, they're going to keep pushing with Trey. Last year, the Niners were 3-5 at one point. They were left for dead. Everybody thought they were done. Pull Jimmy, put in Trey. It's going to be tables turn. And if Trey's the quarterback one and they're struggling, doesn't matter. You keep them in there and you let them learn and you let them get those reps. You only learn from your mistakes. So I don't think they're going to do any of that stuff. And it's just crazy. They literally did this last year where everybody was calling for Jimmy's neck. Like, this is what people don't understand. Now everybody loves Jimmy Garoppolo in the media. Last year, the media was ripping this man apart. Jimmy's terrible. He can't do this. He can't do that. Go back and watch the old media videos. They were calling for Jimmy Garoppolo to get pulled. And now they're sitting here saying, oh, Jimmy's better than Trey. They need to start him at week 7. It makes no sense because last year they were saying the absolute opposite. Like, oh, I think Trey Lance will come into the roster. And now they're saying he's not ready and they should continue to play Jimmy mid-season. So they switched their stories like I switched my shirts. It's crazy. Maria says, if they didn't pull Jimbo last season when we were in the mud, why would they do that with Trey knowing he is the future? Exactly. 100%. 100%, man. Steve-O knows, says, hey, Raj, I'm going to week 3 in Denver. Let's go, man. I don't have any info on the away city takeover. I know I usually get a lot of that information before the game. So hit me up before the game. We'll talk about that. I don't have any information right now. So hit me up later, though. You hope I switch my shirts. Of course I switch my shirts. But, it is what it is. You got to take what the media says with a grain of salt. So, yeah, I mean, it's just funny, man, that this is what Peter King said. I want to pull up a little quote from the articles that he says. So he goes, in the midst of all the kumbaya coming out of the, oh, it's great, we're signed Jimmy Love Fest, I wonder one thing. That's what Peter King says. He says he wonders one thing. This is a veteran team that went to battle with Jimmy Garoppolo late last season and saw him beat the Rams in Week 18, then watch him beat the QB in the winning playoff games at Dallas and Green. Watch him be the QB in winning playoff games at Dallas and Green Bay. Okay, great. If he was the quarterback, it doesn't mean that he did all the work. Yes, he was the quarterback that won those games, but defense was a big reason they won those games. Deebo Samuel was the reason you win Dallas. Deebo and DJ Jones. They almost lost in spite of Jimmy Garoppolo making a mistake at the end of the game. So these guys don't really watch the games. They just sit here and they see quarterback, he won, the team won. Oh, Jimmy Garoppolo won the game. That's what they see. No disrespect to Jimmy Garoppolo, because again, he's a class act. He's helped change the culture, but it's absolutely crazy. Jimmy didn't do much in the playoffs to get this team to win. In the Green Bay game, special teams, defense, hello, it's the reason they won the game. So, anyways, continuing on with what he says, he goes, "How will George Kittle and Fred Warner and Arik Armstead and Deebo Samuel and all good team guys react privately if Trey Lance struggles in the first month of the season? Will the Niners leadership council go to Kyle Shanahan say, and come on, we got to win these games?" No, they're not, because last year they fucking were dog water at the beginning of the season. They were losing games. You think they went to Kyle Shanahan and says, come on, we got to win these games? It's a team effort. It's a team. It's not just one guy. And Deebo Samuel today, did you hear what he said today in the media? He goes, hey, we're only as good as we want to be. If they want to be great, they can be great. And he said, this is what he said. This is what Deebo Samuel today. He said, this team is as good as we want it to be. And he says, meaning everybody is firing on all cylinders. Everybody's where they need to be. This is what he tells Cam Inman. And he goes, we're a team that's going to be knocking right on the door. We have the players, we have the coaches, we have the mindset. That's what the locker room's mindset is. This team is ready to go to war. It doesn't matter who's quarterback, because it's a team full of dogs, full of elite talent. Full of elite talent. Full of elite talent. Like, it's crazy. Deebo knows this team is great. It's not one guy. Yes, of course, if Trey Lance struggles, it's going to be a little frustrating for everybody, but he might. And they struggled last year out the gate. They were 3-5. They went to the NFC Championship game last year. They were 3-5. It's a whole hell of a lot different team this season. I know they lost some players on the O-line, but guess what? They upgraded that defense. That defense is going to be better. You got a better secondary. I mean, we had no secondary to start the season. Let's be honest. And we still had a top 10 defense. D'Amico Ryans is only getting better, man. So I just can't believe that the media continues to just try to shake and rattle the cage of the Niners. They try to continue to post these. They just try to go out there and stir the pot. Stir the pot, man. Stir the pot, man. It's crazy. So let's get to some of these comments. Senior Hyphy says, coach's word is bond. Last he said Jimmy was our QB, and he stuck by it. He will do the same with Trey this year. He will stick with him unless he's injured and start him when he's healthy. No need to worry. I 100% agree. Like, I don't think the media realizes whatever Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have told us has happened. Like, they need to start realizing their word actually means something. They told us what was going to happen last year, and it pretty much went. They said we're going to keep both guys. Jimmy's the starter. He's the quarterback. Trey's here. He's the future. Boom, and that's exactly what happened. Now the future's here, and Trey's the quarterback, and Jimmy's the backup. Like, it's really not that hard. They tell us what's going to happen, and they follow by what they tell us. They practice what they preach, 100%. If they struggle, they struggle. It doesn't matter. You have to let Trey Lance learn from that. He can only get better if he struggles. There's countless quarterbacks that started their career and struggled. It's happened to many quarterbacks. Josh Allen wasn't who he was now his rookie season. He made the playoffs. Peyton Manning, this man was throwing interceptions left and right. Nobody thought he was going to be, they thought he was going to be a bust. And he became one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. It takes time. You have to learn from those mistakes. You have to fall on your face. I'm telling you, man, this media, it's crazy to sit there and tell us that they think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start in week 7. I mean, yeah, I get it. I think they all think that Trey's going to struggle and Kyle's going to pull him out of the hot, pull him out of there because he's going to be on the hot seat. He's got time at Trey. Trey's a first-year quarterback. If he struggles, he struggles. People know, okay, maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe you're right. I don't think that's going to be true. But if he struggles, guess what? So did they did last year. The media doesn't understand that Kyle Shanahan has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. And last year, they had a strong defense and a great running game, and it carried them to the NFC Championship game. Why can't they do the same thing this year with a younger quarterback that has a bigger arm? And that's going to get better as the season goes on. It's crazy, man. It is so crazy. But I can't wait. I want the media to continue to hate on the Niners. I want them to continue to bash us. I want them to continue to keep sleeping on us. It's Trey Lance's first year as a starting quarterback. It's his second year in the league. It's funny, man, how the media Just, they don't believe us. They don't believe us. You know, sad Niner fan, this is exactly what Smitty and I have been talking about. It's crazy how a preseason game's changed everyone's mind on Trey. Like, it totally changed the complexion. Because do you remember the vibes after that Green Bay game against the Niners, right? Week 1, preseason. Trey Lance throws that big bomb. He throws the 76-yard bomb to Danny Gray, and everybody's like, oh, my God, they lost their mind. The media was going crazy. They were so hyped up. The next day, I mean, every media outlet was talking about how Trey Lance is going to be this big-time player. He's skyrocketing to the future. Oh, my God, to the moon, Trey Lance, right? Pat McAfee says, this is the guy, this is the guy, this is the guy. I mean, everybody was so hyped up. He's going to be the big second-year quarterback in the league. Everybody, Trey, everybody was so high. And then one preseason game. He didn't have all the starters, and he didn't have Trent Williams. The O-line was struggling. 3 series, not even a full quarter. It wasn't pretty. I'm not gonna lie. The whole Niners team didn't play good. But that one preseason game, they changed their tune. After 2 weeks before that, or a week before that, literally 2 games before that, they were bricked up. They were so hyped. They couldn't get enough Trey Lance. They couldn't get enough Trey. Now, the narrative switches. It's going to be like that all season. If he plays good, they're going to be hyped up. If they play bad, Niners play bad, Trey Lance struggles, they're going to rip them apart. It's going to be like that all year. It's going to be Trey Lance. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. That's why I can't stand the media. I just want to win games, and I want to dominate, and I want Trey Lance to make sure he silenced these haters. Obviously, he's going to have some tough games here and there, but, man, this media, they get on your nerves, don't they? Thirsty talking about Trey. You get thirsty talking about Trey Lance and all this media hate. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the media is kind of right? Do you think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to come in mid-season? Do you think if Trey Lance struggles, Kyle Shanahan's going to pull him? Do you think that is true? Do you think that might happen? And do you think there's any percentage that's true? I mean, I know Vlad, we talked about it earlier. He's and Smitty, you know, they keep saying, oh, can we trust Kyle? Can we trust Kyle? I think we can, because Kyle literally did this last year. Trey Lance, you know, he was the backup quarterback last year, and Jimmy Garoppolo was the starter. You know, he went through some ups and downs. The only time they put in Trey was when, you know, Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt. So media says it's how you finish. That's true. It's how you finish. Steve O'Noah says Texans treated that like the Super Bowl. Niners treated it like a preseason game. Honestly, it was just a preseason game. But Houston, they wanted to go 3-0 in the pre-stat. Houston was playing tough. I think they had their starters in the second half. Like, Houston wanted to win that game. And they're an up-and-coming team. They're a young team with some good weapons on their staff. You know, they're an underrated team. I think they're a lot better than people give them credit for. And they really wanted to win that game. Get off to a hot start this season, right? Everybody wanted to get off to a hot start. You know, everybody wants to ride that momentum from preseason to the regular season. A lot of, you know, you want to ride that momentum. If you win your games, you feel better, even if it's just a preseason game. Niners going to dump that off. They're going to flush that out. I don't even think they're worried about it. And like I said, everybody's hyped up. You have the season starting when George Kittle, when Fred Warner, when Fred, you know, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, when all these guys are in there, week 1, and they're ready to roll. People are going to be like, oh, shit, this team's ready to rock and roll. It's going to rock and roll. So, it's going to rock and roll. Yeah, it's not going to be an instant success. The media is crazy, man. It's going to be fun when Trey has an interception or a bad play. They're going to just rip them apart. They just got to have patience. But you know what? I don't think everybody has that patience. And the media is looking for a story. The media is looking, you know, to create that drama. They're creating controversy. They got an article to write after a game. They got their deadlines. Articles got to come on the press. And the juicier, the better, right? Because people start talking and gets people, you know, out there on social media. People start believe in it. You know, they got to get those juicy headlines. That's what the media is all about. It's all about entertainment, money, views, engagement. That's what you got to do. So the juicier your topic is, the more chance people are going to read it. So. Manny says people didn't say anything about the fact Lance didn't turn the ball over under all that pressure he was in. You know, that's true. That's a good point. They don't want to. They don't want to. They're going to point out what they want to point out, and they're going to omit what they want to omit. And that's how media always goes. They're going to always paint the story they want to paint. But hey, that's why we keep the receipts. I don't know. I'm just annoyed with how the media is kind of treating this whole situation. I mean, a lot of times they're not right, you know, but because they're the media and most casual fans, they just turn on SportsCenter, they turn on, you know, ESPN, they turn on Bleacher Report, or they open up Bleacher Report, and these are the things they see, and this is what they're engaging in, and that's what they read and they believe it, right? Because this is what they see, so it has to be true. You know, most people they believe everything they see on the internet. It's just how it is. So, you know, you gotta take this stuff with a grain of salt. But we've seen it. Smoke season, right? All off season, we hear rumors. So you gotta understand how to kind of like weed out what's real, what's not. Yeah. Manny says the media, they've got their own narrative, 100%. 100%. Yeah, this is a good call. Nobody was harping on Mayo Matt when he was playing bad in the preseason. That's true. It's a good call. It's a good call. Vincent says football is the hardest of the main four sports for casual fans to understand. It's true, right? I feel like they don't understand it well. They it's not as black and white as some of the sports. I mean, every sport is hard, but I feel like football, man, if you don't get it, if you don't understand it, and those casual fans, again, they're just gonna read what they see on the internet, and they hear what's being told to them, you know, on these mainstream shows like, you know, on Good Morning Football or whatever the big show that they like to watch, Get Up ESPN. They hear these guys, and that's what they believe. Oh, it has to be true. This is what this guy told me. He does this for a living. He gets paid for it, and they roll with it. So it's funny to think. It's funny though when you look back and you just see all the media, and then they all kind of follow each other and they post the same nonsense. They talk about the same stuff because they want to all be right. They all want to, you know, sit there and push their views down upon you. So you got to think for yourself. So it's funny, but yeah, I just want to come on and kind of go over the Trey Lance stuff today. It was just so much out there. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna leave it. And then I started reading some more tonight, and then I'm hearing, you know, I was on Twitter and I was reading all these, you know, people pro Trey, then anti Trey. It's crazy, man. How the media can divide, you know, a fan base, and then how, you know, this whole situation has just turned out to be. It's been probably one of the craziest quarterback situations in the NFL in a long time. So I'm excited for the game to start this weekend. I'm excited for Trey Lance to get off to a good start. I just want him to go out there and have a good first game. If he can come out and have a good first game, that's going to help him out mentally. It's going to help his confidence. And I think the media will get off his back a little bit. Again, if he has a good game on Sunday against the Bears and he wins on the road, I mean, the media is going to change their tune and go, just watch him. They're going to be like, oh, man, Trey Lance, he was ready for the big show. Oh, he travels to Chicago. He beats Justin Fields in a showdown of last year's first-round quarterbacks. And they'll start hyping him up. But he has got to continue to ride that wave. So now we got two big-time opening games. You got, you know, Chicago and you have Seattle. Two games you can win. You can win those games. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but they're winnable games for a young quarterback to start, go in there and win. You know, that's important for a young quarterback to go out there and win a game, win a ball game. You got to get that under your belt first. The first game you win, like, you know, it's massive. I know he won against Houston last year, and that was big time. That was probably a big moral boost. But this is the first game, morale boost. Sorry, this is the first game of the season. You got to start off strong. You got to get that mentality right. So. Riley says our own fans have been non-stop hating Trey Unacceptable. It's crazy, man. When people in your own fan base don't believe you and believe in you, and they did this with a lot of quarterbacks in this fan base, like years. I've been following this team for so many years. I mean, this isn't the first time. Let's go back to Alex Smith. People hated this guy. You shouldn't have drafted him. Garbage. Pick Aaron Rodgers. He's a fucking like people hated Alex Smith, man. And then when he was on the way out, everybody loved him. They loved him. He was the cult favorite, right? And Alex got a bad rap, got a poor shake at it. You know, he had to go and play with multiple offensive coordinators, various coaches. First round, he was the number one pick. Alex Smith had a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He was a raw talent, and he didn't really have a stable coaching staff, right? And then Cap comes in, steals the show, and he becomes the big spotlight guy. And then, people stopped liking Cap after a while, but they wanted Cap. And then after he was gone, it was, controversy city. It was Cap and Alex Smith. They both had their share of positives and negatives. The fans loved him at one point. The fans hated him at one point. And then after that, man, we went through some dark times. Blaine Gabbert and Cap had a little QB controversy. If you remember, I remember Blaine Gabbert, Colin Kaepernick. Are you kidding me? Blaine Gabbert was in a quarterback controversy with Colin Kaepernick. That's how this fan base is. Bro, we had a quarterback controversy with Blaine Gabbert. Hotline Blaine. You remember Hotline Blaine? Fucking the Blaine train. Shout out to Blaine Gabbert, though. You know what? I got to post that Blaine Gabbert highlight tomorrow. I'm on Throwback this week. We're going to post a Blaine Gabbert throwback because that was Chicago week. Remember where he gets he runs, he does that little run, touchdown, big scramble, run, touchdown, Chicago, and then overtime, deep strike, Torrey Smith. What a game. What a game. Blaine Gabbert's greatest moment was against the Chicago Bears. I'm hyping myself. Yo, we're going to post the Blaine Gabbert moments this weekend. And can you believe we had a quarterback controversy with Blaine Gabbert and Kaepernick? And then, flash forward to a couple years later, you got Brian Hoyer, you got C.J. Beathard, you got Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo comes and takes over, and he's the messiah of the franchise. Everybody loved him. They loved Jimmy when he took over. I remember I was in the stadium. We were playing the Seattle Seahawks. We were losing, but Jimmy comes in, and, the crowd went nuts. He throws a little touchdown pass. Lewis Murphy. They were like, oh, my God. They crowned him the king of the city that night, and everybody wanted him to start. Loved this guy. And now we have a quarterback controversy last year with Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. It's crazy how things go. But we went from quarterback controversy over quarterback controversy over quarterback controversy. It never fails. The media loves the Niners because they always give them a juicy story. Even when I was a young kid, we had Steve Young, Joe Montana. That was one of the craziest. That was the pinnacle of quarterback controversies. They're both Hall of Famers. It's crazy, man. Whew. Blaine Gabbert. Yeah, he was legendary against the Bears. We got to post that up this week. Should I post that up? We got to post the Blaine Gabbert hype this week. That game, yo, man, I'm not even going to lie. Blaine Gabbert had me at the edge of my seat. Running touchdown when he scrambled. Would he take it off for like 60 yards, I think? Bro, that touchdown was gas. And then the deep strike in overtime. Holy moly. I couldn't believe. That play was that was crazy. Man. Hating on Trey is a trend. It does seem like a trend. A very long way, man. A very, very long. This team has come so far. So far. It's crazy how far they've come, man. It's so crazy. You got to remember, the talent we had on this team when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan took over, there was nothing. It was bare. It was so bad. Lewis Murphy was your wide receiver one. That tells you everything you need to know. Quarterback one was Brian Hoyer. Bro, come on now. That team was so bad. Tim Rattay, the Rat Man, the Rat Pack. Yeah, I low-key liked Tim Rattay. I thought he was going to be something. Yeah, Trey just got to be out there. Trey just got to go out there and be himself and ball. As long as Trey Lance goes out there and does well and he balls out and he plays good football, then nothing matters. Nothing's going to even sit there and nobody can say anything. All he has to do is go out there, win games, and play pretty good football. Play solid football and win games. All he has to do is win games. Winning changes everything. If you win in this league, they praise you. They eat off your hand. They'll praise you. You don't even have to be putting up 400 yards passing. You don't have to put 400 yards passing. You just got to win games. Joseph says we're a spoiled franchise. We are the most spoiled franchise. Can you believe? We have 5 Super Bowls, two decades of like greatness, and then we fell off, and everybody's mad ever since. And then we kind of came back to life, but we couldn't get the final job done. But I tell you what, man, there were some dark days in those early 2000s. Oh my God, I remember watching games going, what is wrong with this team? Raul says, remember Jeremy Curley? Yo, Jeremy Curley was a real one. Dude was the hardest working player. This guy would give 110% every game. That guy was probably one of the most talented players we had on a bad team those years. I love Jeremy Curley. He was a fan favorite. He was nice with it. I wish we would have kept him. I remember when we cut him, I was devastated. that's when I realized I can't be holding on to hope for every play. Off season comes, you're gonna lose fan favorites. That's what happens. But Jeremy Curley was a cool dude. He was a real one. Niner Gang says, have we heard anything about Mike McGlinchey? We have not. We'll see what happens. I didn't hear anything about him today. Let me see. Maybe there were some updates today. I just didn't catch it. Let's see. Cam Inman write anything on him? I didn't catch it. It's my bad. Maybe I didn't catch it. Let's see what Cam has on his injury. He did post the injury report. Let's see. He says, okay, so hottest day since camp started. It was hot today. It says not practicing Oren Burks, knee, Brunskill, hamstring, Greenlaws, and a non-contact jersey. Doesn't know why. Deebo Samuel was back. Let's see. Don't have any news on Mike McGlinchey. If anybody has any, let me know. Let me see what somebody else. Let me see what the reports were. I didn't see anything. That's why I wasn't too sure today. Mike McGlinchey. Don't think he returned back to practice much today. I know he came back the other day. There was a news update that he returned to practice, last week, but there wasn't anything specific today. So no specific information on Mike McGlinchey. He did return to practice last week. So we'll see. He looks like he's on pace to play this week, based on reports from last week, right? He returned to practice a week ago, but there isn't anything new. That's the question. There's nothing new on Mike McGlinchey. We just got to hope that he makes it through the week healthy and he can play for week 1. So, yeah. Any other questions? We'll take a few questions before the night ends. It's been a fun little late night session. I hope everybody enjoyed me venting about the media. That was pretty much what it was. It was just me venting about the media hating Trey Lance. Pretty much. Hope you guys enjoy. Late night gang. Randy Moss. I wish we would have had Randy Moss in his prime. I mean, imagine, look, the Niners have had some amazing receivers. Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss. Crazy. Hit that like button, media says. Yeah, hit that like button. You might as well. Got nothing better to do. Hit that like button. Why wouldn't you? Oh, any other last-minute questions? Predict stats for Trey Lance. I think he's going to have about 220 yards week 1. I don't think they're going to throw a lot, but 220 is not bad. It's actually a pretty solid amount if they're not going to throw a lot. I think they're going to run the ball at least 30, 35 times. I think run game is going to be pretty much the key. I think he'll have about 220 yards passing. Give him 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns. We'll be nice with it. 2 in the air. I don't know if he gets a rushing touchdown, but he'll get maybe 20, 25 yards on the ground rushing. I don't know. What do you guys think? Raul says, you think we're using Debo at wide back this week? I think they'll use him a little bit wide back. I think Debo wants the ball in his hands. You got to establish him. You got to get him his carries. You got to get him his touches. You got to find ways to get Debo the ball. This is the thing. Deebo Samuel is the key to this offense. He kind of helps things get rolling. He kind of gets things, rocking. they just find ways to give him the ball. If he has to run it, if he has to get a screen pass, if he has to slant, whatever he's got to do, I think he's going to do it. And I think he will be used as a wide back. I don't think they're going to let him run up the middle. I think they're going to try to get him off to the edges, run off to the side, wide back style. But, whatever they got to do to get him involved. Because Trey Lance and Debo, they haven't had that chemistry that we want yet. It's going to take time. They haven't had that instant connection, right? And I think they're just going to have to manufacture ways to get Debo the ball. And by letting him be wide back, perfect way of doing it. So, that's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take maybe 2 more questions, and we'll call it a night. Let me see. Ooh, 49er Jeff says, Brandon Ayuk 100 yards or no? Ooh, I think Brandon Ayuk can have 100 yards in this game. 100 of his 220 yards to Brandon Ayuk. Oh, that means Brandon Ayuk would be big star of this game, right? I think he could have 100 yards. Jalen Johnson out there. I listened to the interview, Jalen Johnson. He says that Trey Lance has to prove himself to him. Prove him to him. This is the thing I had an issue. You guys saw the tweet, right? So let's pull that one up. So Jalen Johnson, for the Bears cornerback. It's not bad. He's not a bad cornerback, but he's not an elite cornerback. He's still a guy that has to prove himself. Jalen Johnson says he's a young guy. This is on Trey Lance. Definitely has a strong arm. He can hurt us in the run game, but he's still got to prove himself to me. Okay, I get it. Trey Lance has to prove himself. I know he does. But when he says to me, a guy that needs to prove himself to the league, I don't think I get it. Trey Lance is younger than him, and he hasn't played, and he's got to prove himself. I feel like Jalen Johnson needs to, I think he could have said it better. He was respectful overall, but the way he kind of said it was he's got to prove himself to me. Obviously, Trey Lance got to prove himself to everybody. But who are you when you still need to prove yourself? Because he says he wants to be one of the best corners in the game. I think he has talent. I think Jalen Johnson's not bad. But the way he said it kind of came off a little weird is all I'm saying. But, he was respectful in it. And I don't know. I think the Bears are kind of confident this week. They're playing a little confident. They're playing a little cocky this week is how I feel it. So, 49. But what I'm saying, what my whole point was kind of veered off the point. He wants to know if Brandon Ayuk is going to have 100 yards. If Jalen Johnson, he's out there trying to be, this big-time cornerback, he's going to have his hands full with Debo and Brandon Ayuk. You can't cover both of those guys. We'll see what happens. I think Brandon Ayuk has a good chance to get 100 yards this week. I think so. Maney says, I think Bosa will have 2 sacks. I think he could have 2 sacks this week. I think Nick Bosa is about to just rip it up, man. Defensive Player of the Year, I feel like. We've said this many times, he might be DPOY. He might be Defensive Player of the Year. He's got that vibe, and George Kittle talked about how maybe he could be MVP. I don't think they'll give him votes. Defensive players winning MVP in the league, it doesn't necessarily happen too much. I feel like they get underrated. They get slighted. I think DPOY is big enough. I wish a non-quarterback would make a big push for MVP in this league. But if you're not a quarterback, it's hard for them to really choose you as MVP. But if Bosa goes out and has a historical season, breaks the sack record, then you might have to consider it. But I don't think that he'd get MVP. I wish I would be amazed if he gets to the MVP. But the MVP is usually a quarterback. It's such a quarterback-centric league that I just can't see it. But man, I think Nick Bosa, DPOY, that's money in the bank. I think he has a big shot to win Defensive Player of the Year. They're not even giving him credit. I get TJ Watt, Aaron Donald. I respect those guys. Myles Garrett. They don't even put Nick Bosa in that sentence anymore. There was a tweet from Pro Football Focus is who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and Nick Bosa wasn't even considered in the picture. I think it was Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt. It might have been one more person. Micah Parsons, I think, was in it. They don't even put Nick Bosa in it, man. He gets no respect. If you don't get respect on these social media posts, the NFL's not gonna put respect on your name. Like, it's weird. Social media can kind of control a lot of stuff. They're not gonna give Nick Bosa. He never gets any calls out there. He gets double teamed, manhandled, choked. They don't give him any respect. Yeah. And Manny says Bosa would have been an MVP in 2019 if it wasn't QB favorite. Like, he should be in that conversation, but it's such a QB favorite league. It's like QB heavy. Like, there's special rules to protect the quarterback. Yeah, we did win a lot of games because of Nick Bosa. Let's get to some more of these questions. Manny says Gray and Elijah Mitchell will score a touchdown and Ayuk will have one. I think Elijah Mitchell is definitely a safe bet to get a touchdown this week. I think Ayuk might have one. I mean, if he's getting 100 yards, he better get a touchdown, right? I think Elijah Mitchell is an easy touchdown. Niner Gang says, is Fields really sour we didn't draft him? That's what Darnell Mooney says, wide receiver. It didn't come from the mouth of Justin Fields. Hopefully they interview him this week and we get to kind of hear what he says. But, I mean, when a player speaks on another guy's behalf, you could usually get that vibe that, yeah, he probably feels that way. So, I don't know. Hopefully Justin Fields can kind of clarify that this week when he speaks a little bit to the media. But I think he might be sour. You remember when he got drafted? Like, you could tell, like, his vibe, his mannerisms, he just looked like he was pissed. Yeah, I mean, obviously he was still a top 15 pick, but I think he wanted to be higher. Maybe he wanted to go to the Niners. Obviously, why wouldn't you? He would have been in a perfect position. I think he thought he was going to be picked third overall. Also, it's the difference of money. You get picked number third overall compared to, a little after that. Money's different, man. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think he might be a little sour. I think so. I think that's a true statement. Obviously, again, it didn't come from the mouth of Fields. I think it's a true statement. He wants revenge. Revenge game. Justin Fields is very elusive, says 49er Jeff. He is. I mean, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I think Justin Fields is going to come in and play his ass off. He's got a lot to prove. He does. He came in last year, and he played pretty well. I would tell you, man, he had the Niners defenders on skates at times. I was like, whew. I watched that game again, and I was like, dude, wow. Fred Warner was skating his life away. He's a elusive player. He could, option to the right, option to the left, throw on the run. He's got a good arsenal. Like, I liked Justin Fields coming out of college. He would have been a guy I would have liked to have. I think if he was a Niner quarterback, we'd all be hyped up, just like we're hyped up with Trey. They have similar skill sets. They're mobile, athletic quarterbacks. Pretty good arm. I think they're both, they're similar to each other. Obviously, there's a lot of differences, but they have some similarities. Mobile quarterback. But, yeah, Justin Fields, he's tough. He's not easy to stop. Niners had trouble last year in his rookie season. And, I'm sure he's improved. Let's see. It's a good little, this is good. Angel says they should make a quarterback award by itself and have an actual MVP award. And Jonathan Taylor should have won it last year. They need to have like a separate category. Quarterbacks, man, they run this league. I agree with it. No doubt, man. Hope you'll have a good week. Stay hydrated and bang not again. Yeah, stay hydrated. It is hot out there. Man, how hot was it out where you guys were today? It was like 100 something out here today. It is muy caliente. Very hot. Very hot. Whew. Anyways, you guys have a good rest of your night. Let me get some rest. Hope you have a good rest of your week. We have a game coming up in less than a week. I'm excited. 103 in Tucson. Woo. It's hot. Stay hydrated. Stay cool. And I love you guys. Appreciate the support. Yeah, we hit 33K on Twitter. Thank you. Appreciate you. We got 4K subscribers on YouTube. Appreciate you. Love you. And Instagram, we're closing in on 194,000. I appreciate the support. I don't know if you guys saw, there's new merch in my team shop, oursf49ersmerch.com. We posted it in the story on Instagram. There's new merch. Whole bunch of stuff is available. There's like some dope stuff. And I got more coming. We got the Yak Brothers shirt that we dropped. We got a Nick Bosa Bear Hug shirt that we dropped. A new Trey area shirt. The new Trey area shirt is fire. We got what else did I drop? There's a few more. Can't even remember. I put out a lot. A Bang Bang Niner Gang. There's 2 Bang Bang Niner Gang shirts, and there's more coming. Go get that merch. Residency hats. Go get your residency hats. Go grab them. Go grab them. If you want a residency hat, go check it out. Residency. Use my promo code. A lot of merch coming. There's more merch we'll be dropping. Go check it out. Season starts, and go get some merch. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Make some comments in the post too if you guys don't mind. I appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your night. I love you. Take care.